What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of April 4th through the 10th of 2022. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you had a great weekend, that exalted weekend with the sun and moon in exaltation. Of course, we're finishing that energy as I'm doing this live. So I appreciate your patience as well. I usually get these done Sunday evening, early Sunday morning, however you look at the time system. So a little late, but just having to kind of slow down a little bit. And I guess that's sometimes what a Taurus moon can do too, with so much exalted energy, having us slow down for the finer things in life, the things that we really enjoy. I, of course, spent the weekend kind of disconnecting from reality a little bit, went to like a little it was a very intimate mini festival kind of get down. A lot of workshops, just a good vibe. It was fun. Had a great time. But yeah, it kind of like showed me too, like, do I really want to rush back and like just hammer out a bunch of things? And I was like, no, I really don't. So I had to get back to like what I really wanted to do too. So I had to kind of move slow. Anyways, I appreciate you guys. There is a big week, of course, coming this week astrologically. We still have everything very clumped together for the most part, but there is space, separating. We are going to see the moon finally come on the other side of the nodes, which we've been dealing with for the last couple weeks, everything on one side of the nodes. So now we're going to get a little bit of balancing as the moon will, as of right now, it's past the North Node in Taurus. So we're kind of like starting to see like the other side of things. So there is this other side that we get to kind of experience where we've been just all on one side of life in some way. So this kind of brings that. We're also seeing Venus ingress into Pisces, which is a big deal because, of course, Jupiter and Neptune are there. They're within a degree this week. So they're getting very close to their conjunction on April 12th, which will be, Tuesday of next week. So we're like right there for that once-in-a-lifetime transit. But to have the three strongest planets in Pisces together at the same time is wow. And I'm going to pull up some like stuff. We're going to do this one a little bit different. I always do this show a little different. Sometimes I pull up the charts and draw. Sometimes I pull up just my software and show you. And this one's going to be more software and pull up some, go back in time and look at some things together. I don't really have anything specifically planned, but there is some things I want to look at that I haven't even looked at yet that we're going to go about together. But it is those three strongest planets. Remember, like Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces. They both have dignification there. And the only planet that gets exaltation in Pisces is Venus. So yeah, kind of like, it definitely reminds me of the birth of Venus, the Botticelli painting. Of course, I use the Botticelli tarot deck often, but Venus being born of the ocean, coming out of a clam, there is this like really pure essence of Pisces, this soul purification, not so much the reality purification, which is that opposite of Virgo, but there's this purification. It's almost like our souls are being purified in this time. That is such a strong time of identification, a strong time of our soul, of knowing our worth right now. And then Mars is going to pass Saturn this week. So we're seeing the Mars-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius. And also Mars square the nodes and Saturn square the nodes. So there are these, it's very fated instances in life when we deal with the nodes, of course. They are not actual points that we can see, but they are these kind of soul checkpoints, if you will. And the squares are, can be looked at as skip steps, or where we're getting a lot of this destiny or fate aspect kind of put into our identification with Mars, into our drive, masculine energy, how we're connecting to that energy. And then Saturn. So then Saturn's so many things, but the dedication that we have within ourselves, how to keep going, keep pursuing, how to build structure in our life, and where we're overly rigid and where we want to hold on too tight, especially with the South Node in Scorpio, and even with the nodes in fixed energy right now, but Aquarius too. And then remembering that Leo is the opposite of that, and there's nothing in Leo right now, and there is this like checkpoint on our heart and our soul and the things that we're creating right now, and this self-expression is so important as well, as we are building this identification for a future, for the weird, for the Aquarian, sort of aspects of life right now, that is this, unpredictability element to Aquarius. There is that Uranian element to Aquarius where, it takes courage to be an individual. It takes courage to individuate and to connect fully to a life that matches that frequency. And I think another, form of Aquarius to me is frequency. It is the waves of life, and which frequency we're tuning into on the dial and connecting fully to, and which one we're kind of dropping out of or disconnecting from. So I think we're all tuning this identification dial about where we're going to create, where we're going to make stable in our life. And, it's of course big decisions. So I think we're in this time of like, there's decisions and choices that need to be made, and stepping up for that, because there is this powerful Pisces, which I talked about, but it's about like doing something with the Pisces and not just escaping or not just imagining, but there is this Aries element too with the sun and Mercury, and Mercury's moving fast. This is the last week we're going to have Mercury in Aries. Mercury's jumping. So it's kind of full speed ahead as we're about to get Mercury coming into Taurus next week, with this like direction. Aries is the pioneer, so we're pioneering these dreams, these manifestations, these connections. And the groups that we associate with is very important with Aquarius too, but it's finding the right groups that match with your individuality right now. And, it's not about one size fits all. If there's one thing that Aquarius will teach us is one size doesn't fit all in life. So it's finding what does fit and what doesn't fit, and not being harsh or not thinking that something's necessarily wrong because it doesn't fit, or putting the blame on something because it doesn't fit, but just identifying with where things are not fitting or they're not in alignment with where you're trying to go or the people that you want to associate with or be connected to. Relationships are very important with Venus coming into Pisces. There's so much soul amplification right now. And that can come through with what we decide to create and who we decide to create with. So many dreams are possible right now. It's like, take the imagination and run with it, but do something with it, I think is the biggest thing I could give you right now. Instead of just, oh, that's a dream, it'll never happen. Like, no. Do the things that are going to get you the dream that you really want. Now, what that means, it's up to you. Like, I don't know. We all have different dreams. We all have a different identification of what that looks like. So I'm not going to tell anybody what their dream should be, but go after your dreams. Pursue your dreams. Move forward with your dreams. And I think that you'll start to see, things really starting to connect fully. And I think it does come through big choice, big decision, and big individuation. Like really tuning into the frequency that you want in life, and not just what maybe somebody's telling you or what governments are telling you. I think this is a big week with the outer presence of the world, because Saturn to me is that outer rule. It is governments. It is, people in power, people in position of power. Who makes the rules? That's a good question. Who makes the rules in life? Do you make the rules? Does God make the rules? Does Joe Biden make the rules? Does Fauci make the rules? Does Trudeau make the rules? Who makes the rules? Does Putin make the rules? It's kind of a breaky rule time. Oh, rules. Like Aquarius is like, what are up with these rules? And I think it's getting back to what rules make sense with Aquarius too and Saturn. If there's no common sense, or if there isn't like anything clicking and there's no connection to what a rule is it really a rule? I do think some rules have purpose. Like I shouldn't just be able to go, light your car on fire and that shouldn't be okay, right? But there's something about, like, that's like old kind of maritime law, if you will, like with rules, like don't harm somebody or somebody else's property, because that's breaking rules. That's like messing with another person's sovereignty, another person's, life. But then there's like the other little rules that are they just ways to generate money? Are they just ways to, put punishment on people? So it's almost like rules are coming up this week, like, and where rules can be forced. It's interesting because it seems like in life, we're at a place where a lot of the rules have been lifted from the past couple years, like things are lightening up. But do rules start coming back? And is this like a time to break out? Find some of that revolutionary energy to start maybe creating better rules too. So I think it's finding like what rules in life we set for ourselves, what rules we put on ourselves, what sort of caliber of life we're trying to move forward with, and then making sure that those rules are in a good spiritual alignment, that they're in alignment with the soul, that they're not infringing on somebody else's sovereignty, and they're also, not overly suppressing your sovereignty, because we can put our own rules on ourselves here and limit ourselves, be like, no, that's my rule. So we have to, do a little bit of soul check, I think, on where we're putting rules in our own life that inhibit or don't let us take the next steps towards the imagination and the creation that life can be about right now. I mean, there's mystical, unpredictable, magical things that can all come to creation right now. North Node's in Taurus. Like that's a beautiful place to have a North Node. If we're going to, strive and go for something like Taurus energy, like, come on, baby. Like, that's like the really good things in life. The beautiful, the confident, the worthy, all very sensual, the feel-good things in life with Taurus. So we can all be striving for those things in life. I think we want to be very mindful of keep moving for the direction and in that direction of life that is showing up with how we want life to feel. Of course, this is touch, but it's also, inner, like, is life giving you the worthiness? Do you feel like you're living a life that's worthy of your soul, like worthy of a high caliber? And where are we giving too much power to something that's, taking that away? Or where are we connecting too much to aspects that are, with a South Node, of course, in Scorpio, this is death. It's regenerative too. Don't get me wrong. Scorpio is amazing for regenerating life, but there's also the power that comes with, well, so many different things, but the power of emotional manipulation. You have something I want, so I'm going to take it. So there's a lot of that like takey, grabby energy right now. That could be showing up one way or another. I think when I just tap into the energy of the collective and with the astrology we have right now, it's like we're definitely getting close to some takey grabby, some takey grabby from positions of power, especially with Saturn square the nodes, government stuff. Like we're about to start seeing some moves get made. So this is where I think it becomes important to look at rules in life and to make sure they align with your soul, and to make sure that you're not inhibiting your soul from the really good things, or making sure that nothing else is taking that power from you as well. And how that's going to look, I don't really know. But that's the hard part about this stuff right now, is I feel like we just don't know. We all have to kind of experience this one together. There's so many things culminating at once, and it's very revolutionary, I think is the best way to put it. So it's like, how are you gonna start the revolution of your best life with all the planets direct? Because this is the final month of all planets direct. Pluto will go retrograde April 29th. So it's a lot of go time. There's a lot of things taking place as we come into the summer. So I'm going to pull up the charts, and we'll go into some of that. And I decided to wear my hair back. I got a little haircut. I think I'm gonna up it. I've been watching a lot of The Last Kingdom, which is a Viking show, it's my favorite show. I've been watching it for 2 years now, and they just had the new season come out. And I think I'm gonna Viking. I'm gonna go Viking. I'm inspired to be more of a warrior. Maybe that's my Aries rising too. Like, you know what? Be more of my Viking warrior self. I don't know. Anyways, that's where I'm at. All right. So this is the chart today. I actually am more interested, though, right now in showing you this. Because it's the birth of Venus, and we are getting Venus coming into Pisces. And I think this is a beautiful painting, of course. It has the divine masculine, the divine feminine. They're actually like squirting water. If I can zoom in a little here. I don't know if you can see that or not. But they are like kind of spraying water onto Venus. She got birthed from the clam just in her gorgeousness. And it's always funny too that this person's like, ooh, gotta cover up all the beauty. Don't let anybody see you. So where are we suppressing our beauty right now? Where are we suppressing our creative, majestic life force? And the imagination that comes with that too, for all these abundant and, powerful sort of, they're almost aspects of like creation that are so new, almost like this would be like, this was just like revolutionary. Like, what? She was birthed from a clam in the ocean? Where are we starting to see life try to cover up sort of the raw, beautiful self? And I think that Venus sitting here is like, I don't know, like I kind of just want to be free and beautiful and show off all this good stuff, but if I must wear the robe and cover up, I don't know. Anyways, I think this is a good look at how beautiful life can be if you're willing to be in your authentic soul state and be free. Aquarius is very freedom oriented. Aries is very freedom oriented. So there is this high energy there. And then, of course, the Pisces in the middle is like letting your soul be free when so much is trying to restrict that or scare that or bring so much chaos to the world. How can you get out of that system that's trying to cover up your soul's beauty and the natural human form of that? All right. So Monday, which is today, as I'm recording this is a few hours before this live, of course, but it is the final day of Venus in Aquarius. So it's kind of like edgy. Venus has gone through a lot, retrograded with Pluto, spent a long time, 3 months in Capricorn with Mars pushing it through. Definitely like having to make big decisions when it comes to relationships, to our creative aspects of life. Getting in touch with the feminine like energy of receiving, but also pushing. So there's that balance of like, I need to push forward with the things I want to create, but I also need to be able to receive. And then it's separated, of course, from Mars. But now Mars is with Saturn at 22 degrees and square the nodes in Aquarius. So this is a big hit point. It's hitting hard on where we need to create our own rules, because Mars is your identification. It is your masculine defining force here in Aquarius. So it's like defining the right connectivity, defining individuality and freedom and your revolutionary self. And it's like getting the orders from Saturn here, like of how that it is going to be done. It's like the plan. So there's a plan being set here pretty much from here on out, I think the plan's already been kind of set, but now it's like really getting the defining missions. Like, this is the mission. What are you going to go create with it? And it is this sort of edgy element with Venus there of, I think, really figuring out the odd approach that isn't necessarily what everybody else is doing. Because Venus in Aquarius definitely has an attraction to what's different. It's not so much just the mundane or what we've seen maybe daily. So maybe that's where I'm even like, I want to change my hair and be more like a Viking. Although I would say that's not necessarily an unpopular thing these days with all the Viking stuff that comes out, but that's the example I got. So we're getting marching orders. We're definitely, we're halfway through Aries season too, as of today, with that sun going to come to 15 degrees of Aries. So we're at this midpoint of this exalted sun. And then this week we will see the sun come to 19 degrees, which is the strongest exaltation degree for the sun. So we're going to see a very strong sun this week, a very strong identification of our soul, and how we are going to charge forward and what the impulse behind that is going to look like. So it's definitely a big day. And then, of course, we see the moon's going to trine Pluto, which I think is going to uncover some of that grit that we've been looking for, as Pluto's really the only planet that's starting to slow down. Everything else is full speed ahead. And I think it's also fascinating that we got the moon with the north node at 22 degrees and square Saturn and square Mars, because 22 degrees is so interesting. That's where Saturn and Jupiter met in 2020. I'm sorry, I always say 2020. In 2000 for that 20-year cycle, and then they met at 0 Aquarius for the cycle that we're in now. And we had Mars and Venus meet at 0 Aquarius. So like 0 and 22 is very, very interesting to me, just around the zodiac at this point in time, because of course Saturn and Pluto met at 22 Capricorn, which is trine that north node. So there is so much about new creative elements in life right now, and I think it can be pretty harmonious as well. We're also seeing Uranus at 13 degrees, which Uranus is almost out of shadow. Uranus went retrograde at, I believe it was like 13 degrees, 40 minutes of Taurus last year. So we're almost out of this shadow in Uranus, this Uranus shadow period, or maybe it was 14 degrees. It was close, but we haven't seen Uranus hit 15 degrees yet, which will happen, very soon. Uranus is moving fast, and it's going to square the 0 point of Aries. So I think there's there's a big revolution coming, and it's explosive energy. We might see explosions go off in the world. I've been saying that for a while, but with Jupiter coming to that 0 Aries point and then retrograding back over that point at the same time as Uranus getting to that point, it's like, oh, it's spicy, because Uranus at 0 Aries was also Fukushima right when it came in. So there's always something about 0 Aries, the 0 point of astrology, and it's definitely going to be triggering some unexpected new beginnings and new ways to find value. So we're all kind of figuring this out right now in sort of weird ways of what the new value is, what the individuated sense of that is, what the relationships need to look like, what they should look like for our individuality, and how we can take these marching orders and really move forward with that. And then we get Venus in Pisces. So very, fascinating just to get that aspect, because if we go back to 1856. That was the last time we had Jupiter, Neptune, and Venus all in Pisces. And look at how close to the similar degree they're going to be. Of course, Neptune didn't get up into the third decan of Pisces, but it just happened to be that April 5th, the day we're on, tomorrow is going to be with Venus, Neptune conjunct. Kind of interesting. But let's go back and look at like April. Like, I'm pretty curious actually to see, what was going on like April 5th. Like what happened? What was going on? We'll just do April too. We'll leave it a little bit more broad for the old search engine. We'll just go to Wiki because they have a bunch of stuff. April through June. Paris Declaration. Maritime law. That's so funny. I was just talking about maritime law. That's what I was like thinking is so important. Maybe I'll take this away so everybody can see. It was a diplomatic policy agreed by 55 nations, written by France and Great Britain. Its primary goal was to abolish privateering, whereby... Sorry, this computer that I'm looking at, the monitor is kind of far away. I could bring it closer. I'm like squinting at it. Belligerent party gave formal permission for armed, privately owned ships to seize enemy vessels. It also regulated the relationship between neutral and belligerent and shipping on the high seas, introducing new prize rules. They agreed on 3 major points: free ships make free goods, effective blockade, and no privateering. In return for surrendering the practice of seizing natural goods on enemy ships, France insisted on Britain's abandoning its rule of 1756 prohibiting neutral assumption of enemy coastal and colonial trade. So let's just now I'm kind of interesting. I just want to see like maritime law. Admiralty law. It's very Saturn. Admiral is a body of law that governs the nautical issues and private maritime disputes. Admiralty law consists of both domestic law on maritime activities and private international law governing the relationships between private parties operating or using ocean-going ships, while each legal jurisdiction is very, ocean, right? So that's kind of interesting too, like why that got brought up probably is because there's so much ocean aspect with Pisces, right? So we're seeing Saturn square the nodes with the strongest planets in Pisces, which deals with the ocean. Like, I think this is important to look at. And I don't necessarily know why yet, but we're going into it together. Admiralty law may be distinguished from the law of the sea, which is the body of public international law dealing with navigation rights, mineral rights, jurisdiction over coastal waters, and the maritime relationship between nations, blah, blah, blah. I want to know something. What else do we got here? I want to know like what the actual law is on it. Became part of the U.S. Constitution. Admiralty law gradually became part of American law through admiralty cases arising after the adoption of the U.S. Constitution in 1789. Many American lawyers who were prominent in the American Revolution were admiralty and maritime lawyers. Those included are Alexander Hamilton and John Adams, which of course were both, pretty big figures in the Constitution. Thomas Jefferson wrote James Madison proposing the U.S. Constitution under the consideration of the states be amended to include trial by jury in all matters of fact triable by the law of the land and not by laws of nations. Dun, dun, the Bill of Rights. Definitely all important. Definitely important. Personal injuries to passengers. Piracy. Throughout history, piracy has been defined as hostis humani generis, or whatever, or the enemy of all mankind, while the flag state, which normally has jurisdiction over the ship on high seas, there is universal jurisdiction in case of piracy, which means that any nation may pursue pirates on the high seas, including pursuing them into a country's territorial waters. Most nations have signed onto blah blah blah. All right. There are 5 types of cases brought to the federal court. Limitation of ship owner's liability, vessel point. All right, I'm gonna look at something a little bit easier to follow. Let's go. What is? Maritime law. Key takeaways. Maritime law governs private maritime questions, disputes, offenses, blah, 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 blah. Understanding. In most developed nations, maritime law follows as separate code and is an independent jurisdiction from national laws. The United Nations, through IMO, has issued numerous conventions that can be enforced by navies, coast guards, countries. They have signed the treaty, outlined these rules. Maritime law governs many of the insurance claims relating to ships and cargo. I have read something in the past that pertained more to what I'm talking about, but I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Why is this important? I don't know. It just feels important to me right now. I wish I can get to a heavy hitter spot that feels most important. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Interesting. Registration, license, inspection procedures, passenger transportation. According to Cornell Law School Legal Information Institute, maritime law is defined as maritime law is the distinct body of law, both substantive and procedural, governing navigation and shipping. I wish I had my buddy Zane here. My homie Zane knows this law in and out. It is a matter, if a matter is subject to maritime jurisdiction, the federal maritime laws will apply at the exclusion of other states, of other state laws. Well, I'll come back to this if I ever figure it out. I'm not going to waste all your time. Not going to waste all of your time, just a little bit of it today. See, I don't know, just kind of weird. What are you guys up to? Are there people watching this? There are people watching this. Hello, everybody. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you had a great weekend. What up, Jamie? What up, Miss Kiff? Sunny D. Appreciate you. Paul, what up? Cool. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. All right, so we'll go back. We'll go back to where we are right now. But I just think that there's something about this maritime law thing. It's going to come up again. There's going to be something. There's some reason why it's important. And I think it has to do with Saturn square the nodes here. And we're talking about law. And we're also talking about a lot of the sea aspect with Neptune, Jupiter, and Venus in Pisces. So there's something to this. I haven't fully figured that out yet. But I'm not going to pretend like I have all the answers. Anyways, it's interesting too that we get the moon in Taurus at 29 square that Venus at 29 on Monday. And then Tuesday, we both kind of, we're really into like this mutable energy. It comes like really into mutability. So there's a lot of change coming with mutable. It's a lot of mutation. But it's like taking our identification, taking these marching orders as Saturn now passed Mars and is exactly square the nodes on Tuesday, that it is like taking these marching orders to create a dream in your life that is both exciting, stimulating, makes common sense. It's like not just doing everything. Like this is important that it makes sense to you. Like that your soul has an identifying sort of link to life right now. And the things that don't make sense, it's not about, being some crazy scientist and trying to figure out all the things that don't make sense. Like I think at this point, take what makes sense to you and what's on a frequency and where you've tuned your dial into life right now and charge forward with those things and start creating the dream and going forward and making things exciting, because this moon in Pisces that we're going to see, especially Wednesday, start to square Jupiter and Neptune is got a circus written all over it. Like that can have our emotions all twisted up and have us confused, have us feeling very, like, are we living in a dream? Are we creating a dream? Or are we living in a nightmare? Like it's got 9 of Swords written all over it, if you will. But it also makes good aspects to Saturn with the trine over to Saturn, trine over to Mars. So it's not like all bad. It also sextiles the sun, sextiles Chiron. Like I think there's such a really powerful feeling of creation that can come through the right kinds of stimulation in life. But there's also like something about gotta disconnect from what isn't that and stop getting sucked into chaos. Like if we thought the illusion has been crazy, for the last couple years, like just wait. Like Jupiter is still not even fully in a degree of Neptune. Like it will be by the end of this week, but we're about to see the crazy, like everything's propaganda. Like everything is staged. Everything is that we're going to see out in the world is just got to be looked at with the filter like you're watching a movie. Like I brought up the movie I like to watch right now. It's fantasy. Okay? Like, don't get so sucked into something that you think it's real right now, because that's where the illusion and the disillusionment will kick your ass and have you really feel confused. So I think now it's just focus on the common sense, focus on the beautiful things, the real things in your life, and you're going to see things play out much, much, much better. But it takes strength right now. That's the big part with Mars square these nodes, is like the strength and the identification, which is hard because we just had a new moon with Chiron, and Chiron's been in Aries for a long time, and it's not going to be out of there anytime soon. But our identification and our masculine energy within each and every one of us to define a life right now is very wounded. It's also our greatest gift. It's also our greatest power, but can't victimize ourselves or point the finger. This is definitely a time of like owning up to the direction you need to go, owning up to the frequency that you want to be on, and going full into your frequency without being manipulated by outer frequencies, which is another crazy thing to bring up, right? Because if you think about like all the 5G and shit that's going on, like there's plenty of frequency manipulation going on. So it takes strength too within yourself to know that you can transcend that. And transcend's a funny word anyways. But there's a lot. I moved down to Southern California. There's a lot of 5G down here. Like I see the towers all the time. Do you think I trip when I see those towers? No. I laugh at those towers. I laugh at them. I'm like, good luck. Try me. Ha. Ha ha. You think that bullshit can touch this? No. So there's just so much in life right now that we have to, it's where we give our consent. Do we give consent to other things to manipulate our frequency right now? To spell us? To trick us? No, don't. It's the best example I can give. Like, don't let any of the show of what we're supposed to be scared of or afraid of take us out of our own ability to write a law for ourselves right now that is of our soul's nature, that is of a more divine nature, that is beautiful and really connected. And I think we can be feeling very quick and sharp and fast right now, as long as all the little things in life that we're supposed to be scared of, because the South Node in Scorpio with the squares to Saturn and Mars, like we are supposed to be identifying with fear. Right? Coronavirus. Ukraine. Be scared of all these things that everybody else is scared of. And there's a million other things out there to be scared of too. Gas prices. Gas is going to go up too. Maybe it looks like it's not, but it's probably hasn't seen nothing, because Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, Pisces is always oil. So we're going to see more amplification of that, especially with Venus ruling money. It's going to be more. So just more things that we have to not trip about, and we have to figure out new ways, and we have to figure out what we need to do to make things work in our life right now. It's very strange. Not going to lie. Everything's weird. Never been here before. Trying our best to navigate these seas. And I think that's where this Pisces energy is going to be a trip, because we have to navigate the ocean right now. And it's unpredictable. The ocean, you can't predict the ocean. If you're out on a boat in the middle of the ocean and there's a crazy swell or a storm's coming, like, got to do your best to get around it in some way, shape, or form, to navigate. So we're all trying to navigate some really intense waters, but there's also the beautiful side to it where, at some point that storm's going to pass and it's just going to be very peaceful and very at one, so when things get crazy, if things get wild this week or out of the ordinary, unpredictable or chaotic, we have to remember that all things will pass, so that we can really identify with ourself right now and identify with the mission statement that our soul came here to go after. Because I think that that's part of this node square, is that so many people in the collective are writing new rules for themselves. Now, maybe whether that has to do with maritime law or not, I don't know why that came up as much as it did. I couldn't find a good reason why, but we'll touch back on that another day. But there's something about a new set of rules that you're kind of have to write for yourself that are safe, that are good for people. It's not about like, being some like tyrant. I would say everything's the opposite of that right now. Like, it's about getting out of tyranny and creating rules that are not of tyranny and give everybody equal opportunity to live a life that they came here to live. So maybe that's where this community aspect is really important, is making sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that want to see you thrive and see you create and see you grow. Thursday, we're going to have that moon come into Cancer, which is, having an exalted sun and a moon in Cancer is very nice. They are going to square each other, though, and the sun's going to be at 17, so it's starting to get to that 19-degree point. It's going to come to 18 on Thursday. And it's going to make a really nice trine over to Venus in water. So there's a lot of emotion that's getting ready to be used probably for a creative element in life. It's going to be good. I do like that the moon's going to make good aspects to the Taurus energy with Uranus there. Like, there's a lot of sort of aha moments. Like, this is really beautiful. This feels really good. This feels really supportive. And then it's like full steam ahead for the supportive elements in life. And, don't get lost in the stuff that isn't supportive, because Saturn's starting to really square the nodes this week. Not quite all the way, but we're in this moment of really revolutionizing rule. And I think with Aquarius, it's individuated first. So this is like breaking away to figure out your own rules. Rules are so important. I don't know. Something crazy is happening with rules this week. That's all I can tell you, is like, or maybe this is the start of it, but like, if you thought there were rules over the last 2 years that were stupid, oh yeah, just wait till these rules come out. Whatever they're going to be, they're going to get even stupider. Probably very utopian, very social credit, if I had to guess, with Aquarius too. Very, the nasty side of Aquarius, which is everybody do this one thing. It's for the greater good. Be a part of society. Everybody be a robot, AI. Which I don't, I feel like this is going to break us out of a lot of that spell, although there's going to be a lot of spell too. And then Friday, the moon is, of course, going to make that square. It's going to finish off Friday evening with the square to the sun, which will be at 19 degrees. So it's very powerful that we get a first quarter square of the sun and the moon at 19 degrees, which is the sun's most exalted point in Aries. So it's very powerful for you to take that exalted identification and create your dreams and move forward with the things that make you do feel supported by the universe, that make you feel supported by the physical. And with Saturn square the nodes, again, I'm just going to say it, it's about your rules. And even interesting that the nodes moved back to 23 degrees. They went a little burp back because they're just going to sit here for a while. And we're seeing Jupiter and Neptune at 23 degrees. So they're within a degree of their exact conjunction. And if there was ever a time where dreams can happen, it's now. But if there was also a time where you could be spelled or taken away or getting, lost from your path or feeling confused about what you know. Because, right, Jupiter is what you know. It's the guru within you. It's the gurus in the world. It's the I know presence of life. It is abundance, of course, but it's amplifying fog, Neptune. It's amplifying, distortion or not seeing or rose-colored glasses. So there's a lot that we have to be very spiritually discerning about and really getting back to our personal lives, Moon in Cancer, the personal things that nurture and uplift us and how we can grow life right now. And, I think it's very important to know that you got it inside out and to connect with energy that is bringing that out there with you. It's going to be in great aspects to Uranus. Like, there's so many aspects, that different avenues, different doors of creation, that as long as we're feeling supported and nurtured by the universe and not tricked by the universe or not trapped by the universe by way of rules or whatever shows up, that's a complete illusion, this week, then I think that it can open many avenues. It's also going to square over to Chiron, and it's also going to make that square over to 11 degrees Aries, which is where the new moon was with Chiron. So Friday is going to be a big checkpoint on the healing work that you've done. And are you ready to stop playing a victim? Are you ready to support yourself, to realize that you are so fertile with creative energy right now that you can create anything you need to get further or to get more of a good life? But it's also about the starting point. It's about doing the things in life to bring that, and using the great imagination, but not feeling so disconnected from reality that you can't get it. So it's definitely like paying attention, but not paying too much attention that you get sucked into a bad movie. Like, make sure that you're living your movie in a positive way. Saturday, we do get the sun. So Friday and Saturday, we get the sun at 19 degrees. I think that's great. But Saturday, we're going to see the moon also oppose Pluto. And this will be the last time we see the moon oppose Pluto before Pluto goes retrograde on the 29th. So this is kind of like that last uncovering moment of seeing maybe what some plans are, like what's going on in the world that are kind of very interesting and maybe a little dark. And we're seeing Saturn get ready to square the nodes. It's within, 12 minutes of geometry. So Saturn is so tight. So I do think you got to find that nurturing element within yourself. And the moon's making great aspects to the nodes with a sextile to the north node, trine to the south node. And it's going to make trines over to the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. So yeah, Saturday is a big day. Really big day, as there is a grand trine with the South Node and Jupiter-Neptune. And I think also having Jupiter in great aspects to the nodes is a big deal too, because there is abundance out there in the universe, and as long as you feel supported by yourself in the universe, you're going to unlock these doors, and you're going to be able to identify with that frequency and not the manipulation, or not what the psychology of the world is telling you. What really matters. Like, what really matters is what matters to you. And don't let people make you feel bad if it doesn't align with what their values are. Like, you'll find people that align with your values. This is just, that's the spell, right? This is the value everybody has to, Uranus and Taurus, this is the value everybody has to abide by. No. You'll have to liberate from that and figure out your own values right now, and that's going to take you higher and have things much more connected and figure out where the right power lies within you, and where maybe it's been overly manipulative, maybe it's been, not being paid enough attention to. This weekend coming up, things are going to become very, very clear, and I would say it can go a few different ways, but something's going to be very clear in your personal life about where you're being manipulated from outer sources in life, or where you're manipulating people in your life. And either or, there's chains going to be broken. So however that goes, like chains are being broken this weekend to free us from something, however that may look, so that we can get on with our most exalted life. Sun at 19 degrees of Aries. Our exalted identification and persona that is supported heavily by the universe. There's no coincidence why we're here right now. It's very once in a lifetime. It just blows my mind when I look at where we're at. Jupiter, Neptune, once in a lifetime transit. Pluto finishing Capricorn, once in a lifetime transit. Pluto coming into Aquarius, Revolutionary War. Neptune coming into Aries, Civil War. Uranus coming into Gemini. A lot of war stuff, but that was also World War II. So we're starting to see wherever the projection of all that is going to go, it's going to start coming quick. And it's all a spell to go backwards when there's something about going into the unknown. So it's like I almost didn't even bring that stuff up, but that's history and that's looking at patterns. So it's like we can tell something's coming big wise. And I do think, we do see explosive energy, like physically, but it's not quite yet. But this is like spiritually exploding into mission why you're here, creative forces. And then Sunday, the moon will finish off this week in Leo. And it's about really finding your light, finding your self-expression, putting that out there. It's going to make great aspects to the Aries energy. It is going to quincunx over to Venus. It is going to oppose, the Saturn, that'll come Monday. But it's like we are at this place, and it's going to square the nodes too as we come into Monday. And it's the only, real planetary body. Of course, I have some trans-Neptunian planets on here, but, it's the only, real planetary body that really matters to me. I do look at these other things, but they're not they're the sprinkles on this, cake, not the main cake. So there's so much about this Leo energy in opposition to the Aquarius, but also square the nodes, about finding your heart, your courage, your valor right now. And self-expression is everything to create life. So you have to be creating from your soul's perspective that can open things up in new ways. And it's going to square Uranus late Sunday evening. And it's we got to do things differently from a really authentic, creative place, and realizing that life is chaotic. There's chaos everywhere. And, there's something about just getting over it, getting over the chaos, flowing with chaos to create magic, because in chaotic situations is where you can actually find the right kind of order, the right kind of, recipe to shift things in life. It's often, if things are just too simple and calm and orderly, that we're just going to stay comfortable. So I think we are getting a shift this week that has us come back to what really makes us feel comfortable and supported in ourselves, so that we can really press, because this is this final week, and we have Jupiter-Neptune conjuncting next week on Tuesday, and a full moon coming next week in Libra. This is about getting in alignment. So I think this is a prep week of navigating a really weird world and seeing really weird things start to happen, so that we can almost get a release of all the stuff in the world and all the illusions that are taking us out of our alignment, so that we can ultimately find our alignment. Because Sunday we get Saturn, Sunday into Monday we get Saturn exactly square the nodes. So there's a big release point there. And then on Tuesday with Jupiter-Neptune, that's going to be sort of a release point too, with that exact conjunction. So this week is very intense with things coming together, and about really making a choice of your rule in life for yourself and what you're committing to, and the frequency that is, and taking responsibility for your individual self and for where you need to break out in life. And even if it's just coming back to the little things in your own life, and if you're not really focused on the world, there's going to be things in life that you're going to have to support yourself through, and to know that you feel like that you got it and that you're here for a reason. And it's definitely a test to see if we can support ourselves in any situation in life right now where we feel like we're on a whole different frequency of life than we've ever been before. So it's all very new in that aspect. So hope that was helpful. I'm going to pull a zombie card, because why not? And then I will do the weekly tarot as well today. Get that out. And then Deep Love Tarot tonight. Seven of Swords in reverse. There's going to be a lot of lies this week. There's a lot of false, a lot of lies. There's, we got to see through deception. And I think we'll be just fine. I think for most of us that watch this channel, it's pretty easy to see, that we live in deceiving times. Don't let life just kick you down the stairs right now because you're going to fall for it. Like a good example of falling for it would be like the people that all fell for the Will and Jada thing. Like, sure, I've shared a lot of those memes because they were hilarious. I'll be honest, hilarious memes. But come on, Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces in a Hollywood event. Like, okay, through a TV, that ain't real life. Nothing about that's real life. So don't get tricked and feel like your whole world just got kicked down. You just got kicked to the zombies, right? So we gotta look through things very clearly. Knight of Cups in reverse. Oh, it's the King of Cups in reverse. It's kind of interesting getting this card too, because it's reversed and it almost looks like, you know, his whole body's underwater, but it reminds me of an iceberg too in a lot of ways. Don't get tricked by what we see. There's so much going on beneath the surface right now, and that's part of the trick, and that's part of the things. It's like there's so much more going on than what we're going to see in the world. Don't lose your comfort. Don't lose your sense of creative aspect right now because of the little thing that you are seeing. There's so much more. And the final is the Seven of Cups in reverse. Lots of options getting narrowed down, though. I think we're actually going to find what we want this week and realize that, yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit going on, and we've had a lot of different choices at our disposal, but there's something inwardly that we feel much, much more connected to maybe than ever. Trusting that guiding light is going to open everything up. It always does, and especially in these times. Let your soul guide you. Don't let the illusion of the world guide you, and you'll be just fine. I appreciate you all. I hope this was helpful. A little different than usual, but, you know, sometimes you just got to mix things up, and we'll see how it goes next week. I will see you all when I see you. Much love. Peace.